There we go, Alena, and a very, very warm welcome to you today. And thank you so much for joining me on this amazing screen where you can tell your story your way. And on behalf of Shelley and all the rest of the team, we can only thank you so very, very much for sharing your time with us. Alena, you have been with Shelley and Feel It Be for quite a few years now, and I'm going to just ask you to perhaps introduce yourself, tell us where you are in the world, what you do for a living, and a wee bit about your family life as well. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for having me, Lesley. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.
As you say, I have been here for a while. It's actually frightening to think that come June, it's been 3 years. It's like whizzed by, really, and it sort of started in the middle of COVID, which now seems a long way away, really.
No.
But the one consistent for me is I've stuck with the program, which has been good. So I'm in my later 50s. I live in Aberdeenshire. I've got 3 children. One's 25, and then I've got 2 teenagers, 16 and 14, and going through the usual teenage phase. Married, and as you say, joined the program in June 2020. I was working when I first joined the program in a company that I'd been working for well over 10 years. It was a clinic that I'd set up with my husband, and then we got taken over or acquired. And by the end of 2021, I realized that I was no longer aligned with them. So I left and I set up my own business along the similar lines, doing clinical work,
Yeah.
and which is beginning to take off now. And I don't think I would have done that if it hadn't been really for this program. I think I would have just stuck out being miserable where I was. But that gave me a bit of a, you can do it, just get on and do it for yourself, work for yourself. And, when you do that, you've got the opportunity to put in as much as you want or as little as you want. If you want to do better, you have to work hard at it. So I wouldn't have done that, I don't think, if I hadn't been on this program, and it kind of taught me some tools and mindset to kind of be positive about that.
Well, huge congratulations, Alena, because I can only but imagine what that must have been like to leave such a strong job and to set up your own business, particularly during which hasn't been fantastic economic times in the country either. So yeah, huge congratulations and hats off to you
Thank you.
on that as well. So tell me, Alena, how did you find out about Shelley and Feel It Be? Way back there.
So yeah, when I was when we in about the probably about the, it was the June of when I joined, I went to meet some friends at a distance party, not a
Yeah.
party, a distance in a garden. We were in a garden, and one of my friends looked amazing, and we were all like, "Oh wow, look at you!" And she was doing the program. She was doing FLB, so we were like, "Oh." So I said, "Oh, send me the information." But because I'm slightly impulsive, when I got home, I looked it up, which was about a Friday, I think. And then over the weekend, I mulled and mulled and mulled. And on the Monday morning, I just went, right, I'm doing this, signed up. And it was before you had the cutoff point.
Yeah.
So really, I kind of joined on the Monday morning and was completely confused for a few days while I got my head around everything. And that said is that, and here I've stayed ever since.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I think that tends to be the thing with women, I think in particular. Once you've got your mindset in something, you just need to do it there and then. Because if you sit back on something for too long, you talk yourself out of it, don't you?
Yeah.
And you actually, when you sort of break it down, you're like, how can you talk yourself out of something that you don't even know what it is?
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
do. And
Yeah.
that's just the sort of mindset that a lot of us are in, particularly at the start. Can I ask, was it weight loss that you were coming on board
Yeah.
initially?
Yeah. Initially it was weight loss. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really know anything. I'd looked online, I'd seen a bit about Shelley, I found the program, and I guess at that point I didn't know it was anything other than weight loss,
Okay.
if I'm honest. So, in my initial joining was I needed to lose some weight. And then, when you start, you get everything else that's part of it. And suddenly, for me, the rest of it took over from the weight loss, really.
Oh,
And I think that's probably, there's a lot of people, I think, find that the
definitely.
mindset's so important, the education's important. But because once you get to the weight loss, there's so much more.
It's true, and weight loss is a byproduct of feel and
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
And we talk about that, but the initial foot in the door is because you want to lose weight.
yeah,
But you're, as you say, you're so unaware of everything else that it comes with.
yeah,
You soon forget about that side because you're concentrating so much on all the education and the science and everything
yeah,
else that Shelley brings that you're not even concentrating on the weight loss side of things, and it just happens
yeah.
itself. Can I ask, what is your most enjoyable parts of being on the program? What is it that ticks your boxes for you?
Well, I do like the community. I really like the community. I'm not very active on it all the time. But I like reading people's posts. It's very real actually, and I like that. I love, for me, the mindset um has been huge. Because I think I was definitely a half empty glass person with a very non-growth mindset, and I think it's changed how I think about things. So I just really like the whole program. I like the way it works. I enjoyed being on the old program, but I've moved on to lifestyle program now, and I really love that. For me, that just really suits me. I was saying to you before that it's kind of growing up. You've almost got through college and you've graduated type thing, and I really like that. But it's just the whole program. It's not taxing. It's just enjoyable.
I'll just jump in there to explain to our viewers that how Feel It Be used to be. We worked a 4-week program, and you were prescribed your meal plans and your workouts, education, everything was prescribed to us over that 4-week period. But since the start of the year, Shelley has grown her business into new formats. And you, as you've just explained, you're now on our lifestyle program. So once you've done an initial 6-week program
Yeah,
on Feel It Be, we move into lifestyle. And like you say, it's like you've grown up, no longer having your hand held through that prescriptive period. But yet you've still got a hand there if you want
yeah,
it to be held, but you've got more freedom, more choice. You can choose your own meals. You now know how to eat clean and healthy, but yet the education, the mindset,
yeah,
the science, everything is still there and much, much more.
yeah,
So just to
absolutely.
explain the
Yeah,
differences there. Can I ask about your health, Alena? I mean, when you came
yeah,
on to Feel It Be, yes, okay, you were looking at losing some weight, but
yeah.
did you have any health issues? And if so, has there been any change in you for
Yeah, so when I joined, I was probably perimenopausal, if not just going into menopause, and I had really, really terrible symptoms, and I'd gone on to HRT, which I didn't really like taking. Psychologically, for me, I didn't really feel I wanted to take it. But so I was getting night sweats, etc. And after 3 months on the program, I was able to stop that. Obviously, do it on medical advice, everyone, but I was able to stop it.
Wow.
I haven't had any symptoms from menopause since. So that's made a massive difference to me. And then the other thing was I used to get really bad irritable bowel, which looking back, I had it a lot, but again now I hardly ever get it at all. So things like that have made a massive difference to me.
And I've got
Um,
to say, sorry, I'll just jump in because
yeah,
IBS is huge, and
yes,
we see it and hear about it all the time,
yeah,
men and women.
yeah,
And I think people just take it for granted. Okay, well, it's got a label,
yeah,
and therefore I've got it, and that's it. But
yeah,
nobody actually looks at how to eradicate it or how to make it better or be able to deal with it easier.
yeah,
And we just put up with it. But
yeah,
yet, so many people like yourself say they come onto the
yeah,
program, clean eating,
yeah,
tidy it all up, getting rid of the sugar, the bad carbs,
yeah,
all those sort of things. And very, very quickly,
yeah,
it's gone.
Yeah.
It just disappears.
Yeah,
No
it does.
medication, just
It-
eating clean.
yeah, it does. And you don't kind of, sometimes it almost goes and you don't really realize it's gone. It's when you sort of look back and you go, oh my God, I haven't had anything,
Yeah.
it's been a couple of years since I've had a flare up. And it's also one of those things that if you go to see somebody medical, they kind of roll their eyes at you, oh, you've got IBS,
Yeah.
once they've ruled out sort of everything else. And you sort of get pushed to a dietitian, and it's not necessarily things that you might want to eat. So I think the way that you do eat on FLB is really does help with that, because you've got a good mixture of your protein, your fiber, you're cutting, as you say, out all the sugar and the sort of bready stuff that makes you sluggish. So really, that has made a huge difference to me, actually.
Oh, it
When I
must
get back.
Yeah, yeah, it must have. And a really interesting point, because I've seen so many reports of this, ladies who have maybe gone off plan, they've been away for the
Yeah,
weekend or they've been on holiday. So yes,
yeah,
they've started dipping back
yeah,
into sugar and the carbs, the bad carbs and things. And it just comes back,
yeah,
within just a
yeah,
matter of days. It's back again. And then that's when they are reminded how bad they used to suffer from it
yeah,
before.
yeah,
And just by having it again for just a few days, it's like, okay, I'm definitely not going back there.
yeah,
Clean it up. Let's get
yeah,
back to where we should be. And yeah, it's fantastic to hear.
yeah,
It really is.
yeah,
The science part of the programme that Shelley brings to us, gosh, it's immense.
yeah, yeah,
In everything, not just what we're eating, but how we're eating it and how it's brought to us in the supermarkets. And then we've got the female health and the hormones and things like that. Alena, what part in 3 years you must have just picked up in so much education from Shelley?
yeah.
Which pieces would you say really stick out for you?
I think for me, it's the cholesterol education you get,
Okay.
because I, I have got a clinical background, but I didn't know that. I didn't know, Shelley teaches you about the sort of pattern A and B particulates in cholesterol, and how, A is bigger and B is smaller, and A is better if you've got that. When you go and get a cholesterol check, they just give you a figure and then they say, oh, it's high, you need to go on, a statin. But they don't analyze your blood anymore any further. So if you know that you can go and ask for your sort of blood analysis to, it'll be private. I don't think the NHS would do it, but if you can go and get a better or a more intensive analysis which shows you the size of the particulates and whether it's how big they are, and you can go then to your doctor a bit more informed, and then say, well, actually, I'm not going to go on statins because this is not going to do me any harm, etc. So you can have a more informed choice. So if I didn't know any of that, I really didn't. Wasn't clued up about how to break cholesterol down, etc. So that for me was, really educational.
Yeah.
Because it's always good to be able to. You shouldn't just take things at face value. The doctors are they're governed by NICE and SIGN, and they have to follow process and protocols. If you've got a cholesterol this high, you go on that. But at least if you can at least have a discussion about it, and you're coming from a more informed position, for me, that's huge.
Oh, and it absolutely is. And again, we've heard this so many times of what you would probably just call just a normal woman, mom, got
Yeah,
her kids, looks after the house. She goes to the doctor with a problem, and she's just told, okay, this is what you've
yeah,
got, this is what you need to take. But we
yeah,
are now in a position, we are turning these conversations right round. And the doctors are sitting back and they're like, okay,
yeah,
Lassie
yeah,
knows what she's talking about, or she's got a bit of
yeah,
education here. And they're having this conversation that I believe that doctors haven't been having for
yeah,
years. And we are hearing this time and time again
yeah,
from Shelley's clients that they come out of the doctors and they're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was able
Yeah.
to have a conversation and I knew what they were talking about.
Yeah.
They feel good about it, as well as being able to better their health. And
Yeah.
perhaps in some cases, guide the doctors to get more information, as you say, from
Yeah.
blood tests and
Yeah.
things as well. I think the other thing, Alena, and it's really interesting because obviously you've got the background, a clinical background as well, but the way that Shelley brings her education to us, she makes it simple. She makes
Yeah.
it easy to understand. There's no fancy big words that you then got to go and Google.
Yeah.
And for someone like myself, when Shelley's talking to me, I think, I understand what this woman's talking about. Whereas if
Yeah.
my doctor was to turn around and say X, Y, and Z, I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
just go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
tell me, for someone like yourself who is educated in this
Yeah.
background, when Shelley delivers that part of her programme, how do you feel when you're sitting listening to it in layman terms? Is it really good for
No,
you
yeah,
to follow?
but because you need to put things into layman terms, I think, for people to understand. Because as you say, people in sort of clinical care can talk clinical language to you, and it isn't easy necessarily to understand, and because they forget. So actually, when you listen to Shelley talking about the education, it really just kind of, for me, it almost just slots into place. It's easy to understand. It makes sense. She's got, she pulls her information from a wide range of evidence and information. Even, just if you look at when she talks about the food pyramids as well, from years ago, all the carbs are at the bottom, and there's more doctors coming around to talking about the things that Shelley talks about as well now, about the fats and everything and eating, and it's not going to increase heart disease, etc. So there are medical doctors that are sort of beginning to jump on that bandwagon and see that actually things are not necessarily right from the 50s, shall we say.
That's true. Absolutely true. Thank you for saying that as well. I haven't spoken about your family, Alena. So you've got 3 kids and a
Yeah.
husband at home. Do you
Yeah.
have pets as well?
Oh yes, I've got 4 dogs.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's a
uh,
good way of getting your steps in.
I
Take
know.
the
Well,
dogs
well,
in.
actually, it's not really, because I've got an English bulldog who doesn't really do walking, and 2 pugs who don't do walking. I have got a French bulldog though who does do walking, so that's all
Oh my
right.
goodness, just you describing your dogs, you would have my children jumping through hoops to come and visit you because that is all their favourite dogs that you
Okay.
named there. I can picture them all running about outside your house. How does your family fit into your feel it be way of eating and living? Do they eat the same way as yourself, or are you one of those ones that has to cook separate meals?
Yeah, I mean, on generally they go through phases. So there are things they really like. They love the fajitas. They like the sausage casserole. They like. I've made my husband the curries, which he really likes, and the butternut squash curry he really
Yeah,
likes.
yeah.
So the things that probably he wouldn't have tried really before. The teenagers, shall we say, and it's not always easy to get them to sort of eat different things. I've got one that was very fussy when she was younger. She mostly eats anything now, and the other one has gone the other way. The one it's had the biggest impact on actually is my son, because he's 25 this year, and when he was 22 he developed severe allergies to about 21 different food groups.
Wow.
So peanuts, chilies, lots of nightshades, and that he diagnosed he had an anaphylactic reaction.
Wow.
And so Sam now, I've given him the menus, because the way that you eat are generally things that he can have. He's had to go right back to what I
Base.
would call basic food and eating. And he's actually lost 5 stone as well. He's lost a heap of weight. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, he looks incredible. And that's just from eating well, and kind of having to cut all the things out that were probably rubbish actually in retrospect, because he had allergies. He's still got these allergies, but the way he eats now is much better, and it is your sweet potatoes, your green vegetables, your protein. So it's had a big impact on him.
This is so interesting, Alena, because we talk about this so often on Feel It Be, how we eat clean. It's a word that we use every single day, clean, clean, clean. However, it is just back to basics. We are back to cooking the way that our grannies used to cook.
Yeah.
We start off with just the basic raw ingredient, and we add spices and flavors to our meals. But when you're talking about your son there, I find that so, so interesting, because allergies nowadays are huge.
Yeah.
I know my mum and dad will say things like, oh, there was never anybody had allergies when we were young. Whereas I work in a school as well, and I know what our community's like, just for our children and the allergies that they have.
Yeah.
And it's huge.
Yeah.
But when you bring it back to eating clean and basic eating, just like your son is doing there, isn't that just so interesting? He's not bringing any of the refined foods or the canned or the packets of food that our supermarkets are full of. He is just eating clean, and he can live a perfectly good life.
Yeah.
So it's not rocket science. I'm not educated in a fancy way or anything, but to me, that's simple.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah. I think when you see it in someone like that, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Complete sense.
Completely. Another thing that you said way back at the start, Alena, was the mindset part of our program. Now, you did touch on the fact that you wouldn't have left your job and built up your own business if it hadn't been for the way that you had been taught the mindset part. Please explain to me exactly how that has been for you.
So I suppose, the mindset stuff is, for me, has almost been like a drip feed, because you don't necessarily. I didn't really realize, I guess, that my mindset was changing. There was a couple of things that one, recently, my dad died in November, and it was very difficult. It was a very difficult time, but after a week of sort of crying, my mindset just changed completely into kind of looking at the positives of my dad's life and everything. And I stopped thinking his death in a really negative way. And I don't think I'd have done that beforehand. I think I'd have just gone into this big pit of depression about it. And actually I'm not saying that occasionally I don't get caught off guard, but it just helped me get over that sort of, grieving stage, if you like. And it's the same with the work. I mean, I was earning a really good salary. I was on a 6-figure salary in a secure position as a senior manager. And I think if I hadn't had the mindset and the confidence to kind of say, this isn't for me, I would have just stuck. So many people just stay doing a job. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I have not the ability to do it, but it is the ability to do it. I've got a husband who works and everything, and I mean, he wasn't that happy about me giving that job up, because when I left, I had nothing. I just knew that I wanted to do work on my own, because then there was not going to be anybody really telling me what to do, and that I didn't, taking a path I didn't want to, or feeling that I was going to be antagonistic to them, or always kind of not agreeing with the way they were going, etc. And that just drains on you as well, basically. So and I a lot of the books that we've read just kind of give you that, just to make you change your mindset. You don't even realize, like Bob Proctor's Shifting the Paradigm, things like that. Those books really hit home to me, and Noor Hibbert, and you know, just when you read them, it's just, you know, you just have to you just have to embrace the moment and do it basically. And that's what I did. I remember this September I went in and I'd had a terrible week the week before. I was just like, I just handed my notice in, and I had to work 3 months, but it was definitely for me, it was the best decision that I've made. You know, I've had work constantly for the last year, and it's picking up again now. So, you know, I feel much happier. My family and home life is better because I have more quality, you know, time quality with my children, which I didn't before. They were always, oh, you're always working, you know. And so that's better for me and it's better for them. So it was definitely the best thing I did.
That's brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, because it's so, so important that what we are doing in our day-to-day jobs makes us happy. Because
Yeah.
if you're just doing a job for the sake of doing a job, what sort of life is
Yeah.
that? I think you have to be happy and at least content, or striving to do better and more each and every day. Otherwise, what is the point, apart from just paying the bills? But there must be a better and another way of doing that. For sure.
But I appreciate it's difficult for some people to do that, and you know, I was fortunate to be able to do it, and you know, for me it's worked out. So you know.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. One thing that we haven't covered is the fitness side of Feel Like Be, our movement sessions. And can I ask where you were fit-wise before you came on to Feel Like Be? Did you feel that you were active, or?
It was in the middle of lockdown. I wasn't very active.
It was active. Took a glass of wine.
I used to alternate arms. You know, I was walking. I did used to go out with my husband. We made sure we did 5K a day, which was to get out and get some air. But I wasn't really doing very much else, and I didn't really jump into the exercise side initially. And also, probably for about a month or so, I didn't do it because I was scared. So, oh my God. And then when I did, I used to keep the camera off because I'd be like, oh, she can't see me if the camera's off, so that's all good. And then
you didn't get shouted at for that.
I know, exactly. Then eventually I put it on, and you know, yeah, well, I was still alive. It was fine. I hadn't evaporated into this big puff of smoke. So you know, and if you do get a shout out, it's really not that bad, actually. It's for your own best interest.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think when you've got that whole community of women all doing the same thing each morning, that really has a huge benefit. And
I mean, you do feel bad if you give them burpees, but you know.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
I think we've all been blamed for that, but whether that's true,
I
if
know.
it is actually your fault, we can only take Shelley's word for it. I used to think that, wait a minute, are you sure? Yeah, I will just explain now on our new programs. On Feel It Be, Shelley posts her workout to us at the start of the week, and it is repeated each day for that week, and you build yourself up as the week goes on, and the difference that you can find in yourself just within that 7 days, to whether it be how much sit-ups or press-ups or whatever you can do on the start of the week compared to the end of the week. And it amazes you how much you could improve in such a short time. And that, of course, just spurs you on to want to do more as well. On our lifestyle program, we have hundreds of workouts on the page, and it's such a buzz because our lovely motivators on the page are picking up on Zoom links. They're inviting everybody to join them. we're sharing Shelley's workout videos and doing them all together. And they're all doing them at different times of the day. Some are doing yoga and some are doing 5 o'clock workouts that are away to work. Others are doing later in the morning. It's a fantastic community that we're starting to build up on our new programs. And it's so exciting for everyone to join in. And you can move about and join different people's groups or set up your own group as well. So a real community, really enjoying that part of the program as well.
Huge choice as well of huge choice of workouts.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Alena, is there anything else you would like to talk about today?
I just, just to emphasize that you won't regret it if you join, because I think the community is amazing. You can be as involved or as not involved as you want, and there's a lot of people. As I said before, I tend to sit back. I do post, but there's a lot of posts to read. But there's a really good community of women on the program and spurring each other on, and there's no resentment, which I really like. As women, we're terrible at often being judgmental towards other people. You don't get that on there, and if you do, they tend to not want to stay on anyway. But you don't, it's just people are nice and supportive, and I think that's really important. And that, I think that also helps the mindset.
Absolutely. And it's that safety, isn't it?
Yeah.
A safety in numbers as well. And yeah, it's just wonderful. And the friendships it's building, growing daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever. It's lovely. It really is. Alena, before you go, I'm sure you know the gist by now. I would like to ask for 5 words that would describe Shelley and Feel It Be for you. Do you have 5 words for me?
So I holistic, because I think it is a holistic approach to you. It's fun.
Definitely.
It's energetic. There's of course I'm not going to think of the last two now. Educational, and I think it's powerful.
Oh, absolutely. And it turns all Shelley's clients into powerful, strong women as well. And Alena, you have been exactly that with us today. And I can only but thank you for sharing such a wonderful journey that you've had on Feel and Be, along with Shelley and the rest of the ladies on board. Alena, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure having this time with you. And I wish you well in the months ahead as well.
Thank you, Lesley. I really appreciate having the chat with you. It's been really nice.
It's been great. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
Alena. Take care,
Okay.
Ellen.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.